19. The febrile illness in the village, like a rusty, slowly cut past the door of each house. First came the cough and fever. Then the person loses. My parents didn't make it. It was flying around in the wind before. The sound of the swona is like a crow calling for a prick brain numb. It was only 2 days after the funeral. My uncle called me to the courtyard.
The family's already poor. You are also...
I can't let my aunt stand by for free. He folded his arms and said nothing. His eyes are like a house thief. I was silent for a long time. I put my belongings into a rag. 2 changes, a pair of rubber shoes, and pressed under the pillow, the 80 yuan my parents left me. It was dark the next. I landed on the train heading north. After the past, started looking for a job. Where are the people? I've been to the construction site. After going to the restaurant, I worked as a cook and as a porter. I studied secretly in the bookstore when I had time, but because of not being old enough, no place is willing to keep me waiting for the day when I have to pay the rent. Suddenly, there was a gentle knock on the door.
Xiaoli,
It's time to pay the rent. Today is the day to pay the rent. Come and tell you.
I stood behind the threshold and didn't dare to look up. My throat feels like it's blocked. Can you please give it a few more days? And Sun said. I just poked my head into the house and glanced at the empty woodshed. Just an old bed and corner. The rag bag containing all the belongings on the ground. She sighed. Turned around and left. I thought she was going to ask someone to drive me away.
Eat it while it's hot and live in it first. The rent is not. Wait until you the job.
I quickly lowered my head and wiped my face with my sleeve. But the more I wiped away the tears, the more I shed them. Ansun was standing at the door. Watched me. Raised. I had 2 whole years.
I can't remember the uncle at all.
The real estate company in Shanghai province didn't even see the light of day the next day. The only sound in the yard was the rustling of leaves in the wind. Impacking my luggage in my room. Yes, Anyang stood at the door and watched. I seemed to have just finished my work.
Take auntie.
I can't ask for food on the road.
don't worry about eating enough to have the strength to work.
Mr. Lee, it's been a hard journey.
Welcome Mr. Lai to visit and give guidance.
Hello, Mr. Lee.
Thank you all for your hard work.
20, that poor boy. Now he is the vice president of Taisheng Real Estate Group, although I have sent money and salary to Sun Yi every few months over the years, but I have never been back in person. Now he is back in Beijing. I should have gone to visit. It's a pity that projects are completed in one meeting after another. Once I got busy, I didn't care about it anymore. Until the group's quarterly strategy meeting in March, Project Director Wang Ming is reporting on the construction area of the East Division renovation project of 120,000 yuan. I signed. But he didn't notice the small print on the report. Hey, Wang Ming came to the office to report.
The all other residents. Just.
I turned to the fridge. See. My hand suddenly stopped in midair. Remember, quickly came to.
Mr. Lee's demolition office suggested.
I violently did an action program that stopped.
All demolition work, etc. are suspended.
He'll inform Mr. Lai.
I said there is a problem with stopping.
Be in charge of Mr. Lai.
I arranged.
Just go meet someone.
Start the navigation all the way from the East 3rd Ring Road to Beijing. Not open. Needles.
Some roads are remembered more clearly by the body than by the mind. When the car turned into the narrow alley, I parked the car under the locust tree at the entrance of the alley. Each locust tree is still thicker than before.
I opened the car door and walked into the alley, wording on the wall, one after another, some yards of it. The door panel was removed and the room was dark. Walked to the door of courtyard no. I stood in the yard. The wooden door had a rusty iron ring. I pushed the door, the courtyard door, exactly the same as 20. But the courtyard is empty under the east wall. It turns out there was a grape trellis. Every summer he moved a chair and sat down below to choose vegetable. Now the shelf of only a few alleys were left coiled on the ground. The doors of my small Nanan room are all the same. I walked over and took a look. It was filled with clutter. He doesn't. I stood in the middle of the yard, not knowing where to go.
Who are you looking for? Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for Sun Ging.
And Sun.
Does she... Mrs. Sun has stopped living here for a long time.
The old man was in no hurry to attack the mess in the courtyard.
I lived here 20 years ago.
You were the kid who almost hit my tricycle back then.
My last name is Lee.
Mrs. Sun's life is miserable.
The old man's surname is Zhang. I have lived in this alley for more than 40 years. I am an old neighbor with Aunt Sun. He leaned against the dead grape trellis and lit one.
He has a son named Sun. I remember that more than 10 years ago, I got involved with someone. Start betting and bet bigger and bigger. The more you lose, the more you lose. You owe a lot of debt out. Later, someone gave him an ad. He said that he mortgaged the old lady's house and paid off the loan.
Your aunt can't read. Where can my son sign? Wherever. I have no idea what is written in the contract.
Later, the money was not recovered at all. Sun Jin only blocked part of the hole. The rest has been running around in my pocket for more than half a year. I didn't even get a phone call from a loan shark. They took the contract and said the house was theirs. Only your aunt knows what you are signing.
Those people come every now and then. Finally, the lock was changed direct. He couldn't even enter his own home.
Lao Zheng shouted towards the alley.
There is a basement under the old residential building in Nuzhui. It used to be a pile of... He lives...
The aunt is alert. Who wrote the replies to me over the years? Who have I sent my money to over the years? I pushed the door open. A musty smell. Damp, cold and sour. A bed made of wooden boards mixed with an indescribable odor. A towel. On the floor were cardboard boxes and wooden bags. No one. The only answer I got was the sound of dripping water from the pipe above my head. Suddenly, a hoarse voice came from behind. Thin. With. I jerked back to the door. A. Standing on shoulder, carrying a large bag of plastic bottle.
It's also me. Xiao Li. Xiao Li.
He took a step. Stopped again, as if unwilling to accept. He held out a caloused. He touched my face, trembling.
Have you grown this big?
His tears flowed down those deep wrinkles.
Do you think he'll never see you again in this life?
I helped him to the edge of the bed and sat down on the thin, hard mattress. He sat on the edge of the bed and folded his hands. Put it on your lap. He lowered his head and didn't look at how my father ended up living in a place like this.
What about the money I've sent over the years?
He said. The knuckles of his fingers turned white as he twisted the corners of his sleeves.
There are also those whose surnames are doubtful. You are lit. Who paid for those letters?
They were all letters that Jianjun went to the post office to pick up. He also wrote back him. I said, just write that everything is fine with you. Put your child at ease.
Xiao Li.
I don't want you to see Auntie like you are now.
He was silent for a long time.
Life was pretty good in the few years after you left. Later, something happened to Jianjun.
At first, it was just playing cards. Later, I became addicted to gambling. I owe a lot of debt outside. Roll from hundreds of thousands to millions. Then one day, Jianjun brought it back. One person talks about doing big business, can help him pay off his debt.
His voice began.
Once, Jianjun took a stack of paper. Say, sign your name. Go through the formalities. I found out after I signed it. That's a debt of 3 million from a loan shark. In less than a year, it increased to more than 5 million. After Jinjoran, those people, they called and scolded me every day and smashed the windows in the middle of the night. Take the contract and say, the house is ill-changed. They smashed. Later, I couldn't even get in the door.
The basement at the entrance of the alley. It turned out that there was no pile. No one has to deal with it anymore.
packed up and moved in. You have no ability. I just want to build an army near here. When will you come back?
You have to know how to get out of the basement. It was already past 1 in the morning. I returned to the car and sat in the driver's seat, hands holding the steering wheel. The company's 1.8 billion project that was not launched was his house that was going to be demolished. I kept track of the money for 21 years he didn't spend. He was also deceived by house, living by picking up scrap. But I thought he was doing well. 9 o'clock the next. The large conference room was full of people. Wang Ming talked about the demolition process.
Courtyard no, 17 is the last nighter. The owners are tough.
The demolition office suggested that this project be suspended indefinitely. The conference room fell silent instantly.
Mr. Lai. Pause, Juan.
More than 300 million yuan has been invested in this project in the early stage. If you stop...
The loss is borne by me personally.
The whole place was in an uproar. Lu Hong slowly regretted his drink. He stared at me, his eyes dark and unclear. And I'm just a monk fold. After the meeting, old partner Mr. Chen.
It's okay.
There was silence for a few seconds.
The old lady in Courtyard No 17 is my benefactor. 20. I'm broke. It was she who took me in. Without her, I wouldn't have Li Ziyuan standing here today.
I made an appointment with Miss Fang Bishing overnight.
He is the top real estate dispute in Beijing, and lawyer Mr. Li is so anxious. What happened?
I told An Sun's story from the beginning. I have rented his house. The lawyer went to his son to trick him into signing a mortgage contract.
I want you to help me fight a lawsuit.
3 days.
Mr. Li's situation is more complicated than you think. The name of the host is Yongsan. Asset Management Co. Ltd. is a registered legal person in Tianjin named Maguliang. 7 cases were involved in the past 5 years. Private lending. The defendants are all personal targets. It's all property more. The situation is exactly the same as that of An Sun. The second tranche is Yongsan's loan funds. Part of it comes from banks. Part of it comes from a Beijing-based hustling company, whose legal person is Zhao Jianhua, the leader of Dongqing district. This is the demolition compensation agreement for 11 mortgaged properties that Yongxing has undertaken in the past 3 years in Beixing district. All of them have been reviewed by the same real estate company and confirmed that Mr. Li of Taisheng Real Estate Group is behind the loan sharking, and this person is in your company.
Then, I was alone in the office until the wee hours of the morning. Yongsan Assets capital transactions include a sum of 3 million. I got a strange account from a consulting company controlled by Zhou Jianhua. Attorney Fang tracked the account. In the end, the beneficiaries were Lu Hong's relatives. Instead of calling Lu Hong directly, I went around 3 floors. But the traces cannot be wiped clean. Vice Chairman Lu Hong Taisheng is in charge of project approval and government relations. I have been in Beijing for 4 years. He cooperates with all major projects. He has a close relationship with the leaders of Dongqing district. The whole Director Zhou is an old. Projects in the Northeast district are smooth with his presence. Now I know what unobstructed me. I went to see him the next morning. He was explaining things to his secretary. Watch me. Wave the secretary up.
Jiwan took charge of the Dongxi renovation project. You really have to stop.
You're not talking about project. Lu Hong Yongxing Asset Management Co. led. Have you heard?
He didn't answer right away. Stand up. He walked to the bed and turned his back to me.
This is not as simple as you think. Lu Hong, I don't know how complicated it is. There is an old lady in Shijing Garden Alley. Now I live in the basement and pick up junk. His house was taken over by a loan shark. In the demolition office, the demolition office's benefit transfer was blind at the note of Taishan.
He turned around. What do you mean you look ugly?
I will get to the bottom of this matter. If you are being taken advantage, please cooperate with me to explain clearly. If you took the initiative to participate, I would be sorry.
He stared at me for a long. The corners of his mouth moved, but he said nothing. I turned around. Before the elevator closed, I remembered what Lawyer Fang said. The case went. I might not be able to stay in Thailand any longer. I installed the after handing Li Hong's matter to Lawyer Fang. The second thing I did was to find Sun Xiaomin and Sun. When I lived in City View Garden. He goes to school another place. I asked Xiaolu to check it for 2 days. Contact information. The phone rang several times before I answered it.
Hello.
It's me, who are you?
My name is 21 years ago at No 17 Shijing Garden Tong. I have lived in your home for more than 2 years.
You are the college student that my mother took in back then.
I told Aunt Sun everything about her current situation. Silent. So? In the end, I cried so much that I couldn't speak.
How so?
He came from out of town. He was carrying an old suitcase. Eyes red. Apparently cried all the way. His first words when he saw me were not pleasantries. Take me to see my mother's car on the way to Shijing Garden. He kept looking out the window. He suddenly.
I haven't contacted my mother for several years.
Because Sun Jianzhen's voice was very soft. He wanted to say every word through gritted teeth. He gambled.
My mother helped him to punish him for causing trouble outside, sorted it out. I said, Mom, you are... He didn't listen, and I contacted him angrily.
I thought about taking her to my place. He said that the door of the room was open.
No.
Something happened, Dad.
He does? She pushed back and said. I became angry and stopped talking.
He craned.
Do you think I do it?
I do. The car turned into the alley. I park. Take him to the basement. When pushing open the iron door, Anley is sorting the cardboard boxes. I saw Sumin standing behind me. His eyes widened suddenly. Sun Xiaoman stood at the door and looked at the mess, looking at my mother's gray hair and stooped waist, looking at the washed blue cloth gown.
He plopped down and knelt down.
Ansun dropped the cardboard box in her hand and walked over shakily.
Hug your daughter and get up quickly. There is a beam on the ground.
I'm sorry for your teacher. Sorry.
Your teacher's mother didn't applaud. Jianzhen made you angry too.
The mother and daughter hugged each other and cried for a long time. Xiaolu found out Masan's whereabouts.
He regularly goes to a tea house in the East 3rd Ring Road every Wednesday afternoon to discuss business. In fact, it is to press for debtors to sign contracts, arrange for people to come to your door to cause trouble.
Wednesday. I went to the tea house, and there were 3 people sitting in the innermost booth. The one in the middle was wearing a gray cashmere coat. Her hair was combed and polished, and she had a gold watch on her wrist called Masan. Next to him was a small accountant wearing glasses. Another wears a leather jacket and has a tattoo on his neck. I walked straight. Leather jacket stood up and blocked the front. Watching the Spurs boss take a step to speak. Masan raised his head and looked at it. My eyes swept from the leather shoes to the cuffs. Li Ziyuan Taisheng Real Estate. His expression changed. He waved his hand and moved his leather jacket out of the way. Why are you sitting there?
Sun Guiying No 17 Hutong came to Shijing Garden alone.
The hand holding the teacup stood. Continued to take a slow sip.
Li is always a big. Why come to me for an...
She is my bet.
He put down the cup.
His son. The contract was signed by him in black and white. How much money do you have to pay for him if the court agrees? The principal plus interest is 5 million.
The annual interest rate on your principal of 3 million is 60%, which is nearly 3 times more than the legal limit. Boss Ma.
This is a trick to borrow a leather jacket. Take a step. Sen raised his hand to stop him.
Boss Li must have evidence when he speaks.
The evidence will be in court. It's not just a matter of the 5 mortgages you have taken out over the past 5 years. The court will investigate each case.
You can afford 3 million principal. The interest paid back to me disappeared. Give me.
Your principal is illegal and the mortgage contract was signed fraudulently. It has this debt. I won't pay back.
His smile.
You are going to have trouble with me.
Him here. You took something from me. I want you.
I turned around and left. Behind, his voice came out soft, but every word was heard.
Li walked a lot at night. Be careful when falling.
I didn't look back at Masan's night road warning. I didn't take it serious, but I underestimated his asking. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was the old neighbor I met in courtyard No 17 last time. I left. Please keep an eye on him. Something happened to Mr. Lai.
Mrs. Sounds was smashed up.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning when I got to the basement. The iron gate is wide. There were several deep knife marks on the door panel. The house was in a... The pot was overturned and fell to the ground. The tin thermos bottle was dumped in the corner and shattered on the floor. 2 words were spray painted on the door with red paint. The red paint in front of the door has not dried yet. It flowed down the door panel, bleeding under the moonlight. Sun Deming stood in the air. He folded his arms and his lips were trembling. Sun Xiaomin hugged him and was shaking with anger.
I just left after reporting to the police station. Said there was no monitoring.
It's not good to check it out.
It's okay if you're scared.
His voice.
It's not their first time anymore.
Not the first. This sentence is like a knife piercing Wu Qun. Took out my phone. 3 phone calls were made.
The first one to send someone from the security company to Xiaolu. 20. There are not enough guards to pay the fee. I went to the surveillance police station nearby to check my account. Well, check it out. The people who gave lawyer Feng Masan smashed up the village aunt's house last night. Can it be included in litigation?
Think about it this way.
I'm looking to pack some things. Don't.
I took them to a nearby hotel while they were moving in. Ansun refused to enter the lobby.
Xiaoli,
this is too expensive.
Please don't worry about it. There is someone guarding the other side of the house. No more.
The elevator. Sun Shimin helped him in. Before the door closed, he looked up at me. There was gratitude and uneasiness in those eyes. There is something... Like a drowning man, he finally catches a hand. But, do you want to let go of the door and close it? Early the next, I just entered the office. His face looked...
General Manager Li's Board of Directors held an emergency meeting this afternoon. The topic is the disposal plan of the Dongxi reconstruction project.
Who suggested? Liu Hong at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Group large conference. Liu Hong sat opposite me with a calm expression. Chairman Zhou Taixing, who was in his 60s and had gray hair, was sitting in the main seat. His eyes glanced from Liu Hong to me and paused for a moment.
Everyone is here for the meeting.
Liu Hong.
There is only one talk.
The Dongxi Renovation Project Group has invested more than 300 million in upfront costs. The demolition progress is over 90%. Only the last household remains. Now, because of one person's personal emotional project, it has been suspended indefinitely.
He glanced at me at the 1.8 billion project.
If you say stop, stop the interests of shareholders. Who will
I would like to ask Li Ziyuan to make it clear in front of everyone whether this project will be completed or not. Everyone's eyes will turn to me.
I didn't. Take out a document bag from your briefcase. Open them one by one and place them on the table. The first industrial and commercial registration legal person of Yongsan Asset Management Co. Maguliang is nicknamed Masan. The second part is Yongsan's capital flow in the past 3 years. Transfer of 3. Circle in red the consulting companies controlled by Zhou Jianhua. Enter an unknown. For the third beneficiary information of that account, lawyer Fang traced 4 levels of equity relationships. It finally settled on Liu Hong. The fourth call record between the leader of Dongcheng District and Liu Hong in the past 2 years. Records of the meeting and 7 confidential approval documents of the design company that he related to the approval.
These materials have been forensically authenticated. All true. Liu Hong. What is your relationship with Zhou?
You know better than me that Liu Hong's complexion recedes from her forehead bit by bit.
I'm not target you. I'm stating.
To the chairman.
Chairman Dongxi Renovation Project. I insist on. It's not because of personal feelings that there are serious illegal issues in the demolition process of this project. Yongsan Assets used loan shark.
The managers of at least a dozen old households in Beijing took advantage of their powers to cooperate in forcing them to sign for loose interests.
Arrive at. Before the problem is clarified.
The project cannot continue, Zhou Taisheng. This is his relationship with the old lady affected Liu Hong.
How much money has your 7th brother's company received from Yongxing in the past 2 years? Do you want me to give you a specific number?
The conference room was quiet for a long time. Zhou Taisheng took off his reading glasses, wiped the lenses.
Liu Hong, you sit down.
Liu Hong was frozen for a few seconds. Sit.
Do you recognize these materials or not? I asked the auditors to come in and find out the innocence. I personally apologize to you. Found something wrong.
You can watch it go by yourself, and Lao Chen will chase me into my office.
You're taking too risky a step. Liu Hong has worked in the company for 15 years.
He was the first to fall out. He put his hands into the pockets of the old men, used their house for their own chain of interest. How is this different?
Lao Chen.
Do you know how many people he has on the board? I nodded along at today's meeting. Those are all.
Can't you carry it alone?
You've been carrying it for 2 years. One side's law is sorting out evidence. The old people in the alley who were forced to leave were all carrying it. I just brought their voices to this table.
Lao Chen was silent for a long. He came over and patted me on the shoulder.
You carry it and I carry it too.
Has gone, and the only one left in the office. Ring. Lawyer Fang sent a message. The case against Mr. Li Yongsan's assets has been filed in court. The court session is next week. After that, rumors spread around the company that Liu Hong was suspended for audit, but sent news. Yongsan's case will be heard next Friday, but laws alone are not enough. Masanning has been rampant in Weidong District for so many years. It's not just high-low. They're also Li. Old Chen gave me an idea about that umbrella.
Do you know the person doing the focus interview?
What happened to your old lady? More people. Just kill one. Zhou Jianhua is still doing the same job as someone else in that position.
I called Sun Xiaomin to discuss it. He was silent.
My mother has been wronged over the years. Now someone is willing to listen. You should be spoken up.
The film crew arrived in Beijing. Sun Xiaomin accompanied An Sun for an interview in the basement. Later Xiaomin me. Situation.
Reporter, your son has mortgaged his house.
I hate him for not living up to expectations. But he's my son.
Those people smash your glass in exchange for a lock. Afraid or not afraid?
Lying here. It's scary to hear any movement above. I have to...
Whether you want to move back to the original compound or not, I have lived there for more than 50 years.
Do you regret taking in that college student?
What do you regret? It's not easy for that. Alone. I just gave him a bowl of noodles. Whose child is... You don't care that I haven't done anything important. There must be a personal touch between people.
Program? I watched it with them in the hotel room that night. An Sun looked at herself on the screen and was silent for a long time.
Why?
Xiao Min hugged his shoulders and said nothing. The broadcast ended in less than half an hour. Xiao.
Mr. Li's repayment of gratitude after 21 years broke out on the internet. It has reached the top tens of thousands of comments in the trending search. Most people are saying the same word move. Some people also scolded Sun Jianjun, scolded loan sharks, and scolded the demolition office for the next day.
Masan's company was razed to the ground by netizens. Zhao Jianhua's office phone number was ringing. The Beijing Municipal Housing and Urban Rural Development Committee issued a statement overnight. Thoroughly investigate the illegal activities in the demolition of Northeast District. Soon. CCTV. Early morning on the third day. Someone sent me a message.
Brother Li Jianjun is back.
Early the next morning, I arrived. Sun Jinjun squatted on the steps outside the lobby. The wrinkled jacket was unshaven and thin. See? He stood up and put out his cigarette on the sole of his shoe.
What are you? Look at my... I didn't know until I watched TV. My mom lives in the basement now.
Sun Xiaoman walked out of the lobby. The brother and sister looked at each other. No.
Mama's...
Aunt Sun sat on a chair in the room in front of her. A bowl of porridge and the door opened without much movement. Sun Jiong stood at the door.
Mom.
Aunt Sun looked at him, her eyes turning red a little. He put down his chopsticks. Hold your hands together. The sound doesn't match when you kneel down. Each word hits the ground like nails. Sun Jiong slowly. Kneel.
Mom.
Oh.
Where did you go wrong?
You should take out a mortgage on your house. It's time, no matter Mom.
You ran for 2 years. Made a phone call once. They didn't ask whether Mom was alive or dead. No, they smashed the glass and changed the locks in the middle of the night. Mom. He couldn't even enter his own home. Do you know where Mom lived? There is nothing in the basement.
Her tears.
Get up.
Sun stood up slowly. Don't dare to look. Sunji's mother sat down again.
Have you had your meal soon?
Sun Xiaoman went to buy her a bowl of porridge.
Since. Open your mouth and swallow again. Turn around and go out to make some porridge and buy it back. Sun Jianjun squatted beside the coffee table and drank eagerly.
Build an army. Tell Mom that you came back this time to really see Mom. Or have you heard that the house is going to be demolished?
Sun Jianjun's hand froze while he was serving the porridge.
Mom.
Did you inquire about me before you came back?
Sun Jian's face turned.
This is my family's business.
And son of Jianjun stopped him.
You go. Mom doesn't want to see you.
He looked at his son with no anger in his eyes. There is just a deep exhaust. How many seconds? Turn around and leave the moment the door closes. Sun covered a face. A shrug of shoulders and a head. Didn't. Sun Xiaoman knelt down and hugged him. I stood by the bed and watched Sun Jianjun walk out of the hotel door, walk across the street. Take out your phone call. I dialed Lawyer Fang's number.
Sunjin, check his whereabouts during this period and who has he contacted.
You feel this purpose conflicts?
He ran for more than half a year without calling a single program. He showed up 3 days after it aired. What a coincidence.
3 days. Lawyer Fang's investigation. Sun Jianjun found out that he was found because of his conscience. Ma San was working on a program called Lalu, and he was contacted the next day. Sun Jianjun hiding.
The yard where your mother lives is going to be expropriated and resettled. This resettlement amount is not small. Just come back and sign the relevant agreement. You can persuade the elderly to sign the agreement as a child. You can also handle the procedures on your behalf as a property owner, as long as the agreement is finalized for the amount owed previously.
The call record was attached to the right. Off report. Sun Jianjun had 2 phone calls with Lao Lu the night before he came back, more than 10 minutes each. I called Summit. After reading the materials, his face turned as white as paper.
Sun Jianjun is this...
He is not a human being. Should these materials be given to a doctor?
He was silent for a long time.
Mom can't be deceived by him.
Aunt Sun didn't cry or scold after reading it, sitting for long.
Yeah.
I called. She slowly raised her head.
Xiaoli, Jianjun, it was like this when I was a kid.
The hardest. He'll take care of your house. We'll help you. 21 years nourished.
Your aunt is... and it makes you worry.
You don't, because you feel like that's what you should do. I'm doing what I should do to help you.
Sun Xiaoman came out of the bathroom.
Wilma Jianjun, who has red eyes, go to jail for these things.
Sun. Maybe the room has been quiet for a long time, and Sun didn't look up. The sound was as light as a fallen leaf.
When she came out, her mother still went back to pick him up that day and send Sun Jianjun off.
Then, I thought things were over for now. But I underestimated the impact this incident had on Aunt Sun. Early the next, Hua-sum. The voice was shaken.
My mother.
When I got to the hospital, Aunt Sun has been pushed to the emergency room. Sung Shimin sat on the bench at the door. The whole person shrank into...
I went to ask him to have breakfast in the morning. No one should let the waiter open the door. She lay on the bed holding her chest. His lips turned white. The doctor said he was undergoing emergency treatment for acute myocardial infarction.
When I... There was no corridor in my mind at all. It was eerily quiet. The emergency room door was closed and the red light was on. Lao Chen called to ask about the project.
Him and the... Sun Guaning suffered from myocardial infarction.
How many seconds?
You work on the project first. I stared.
How long have you been waiting? The door finally opened and the attending doctor took off his mask.
The patient's condition is temporarily stable. However, hospitalization is required for observation. His heart problem no longer exists for a day or 2. This time it was a strong stimulant induced. After, don't let him have big mood swings anymore.
The 4 words intense stimulation hit my... Sun Jianjun's return as if... Knowing the truth about his son's return is an even bigger thrill. He said, you go. But after all, he was the son he had raised for more than 40 years. Vibrate.
The case of Mr. Li Yongxing's assets, which is the case of our lawyer, will be heard next Friday.
You. Then turned off. And Sun woke up in the evening. He opened it. His eyes swept around them. I saw him lying on the bed sleeping. Sun Xiaoman saw me standing beside the bed again. Ben.
Yeah.
Anley has made you worry again.
And don't.
He didn't lift. The hand without the needle trembled and pulled my sleeve.
The most right thing you have ever done in your life. It's just that I didn't let you move out back then.
Ask Sun Shimin to give you a bowl of noodles. She also makes scrambled eggs with tomatoes. His aunt taught him.
Just nod. She let go and fell asleep again on my sleeve. Sun Shimin was woken up by the sound of voices. He rubbed his eyes and looked up.
What did my mother?
He said you can also make scrambled eggs with tomatoes.
Sun Xiaomin was stunned for a moment. Smiling and laughing, tears fell. Aunt Sun stayed in the hospital for 5 days. He was discharged after his indicators stabilized. I rented a first-floor house for Aunt Sun in a community not far from Shijing Garden. Move in with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room facing the sun. That day she stood in the middle of the living room, looking at the white walls and new curtains.
Xiaoli, how much does this house cost?
1 month.
You did.
That one.
Auntie, I can't live with you in vain. Then you let me live in my home for 2 years.
Why did I keep him silent? The night before, I went to Shijing Garden. 20. I learned to make dumplings from Aunt Sun in this yard. She dared to criticize my bag for showing strange shapes. She laughed and hugged Xiaoli.
The pigs in your bag won't eat anything.
He pinched the crooked melons and cracked dates one by one, push it in front of me and pack another one to try. I wrapped one and it's still crooked.
So be it. Anyway, they all go into the stomach, no matter what they look like.
The moon was also so bright that night. I bowed deeply to the empty yard. No. It's due for those days that can never come back. The phone.
Mr. Lee, all the evidence is here for tomorrow. Fund flow witness report approval documents. All the information about Liu Hong's brother-in-law's company is in place.
Good.
And Sun Jianjun's side. I recommend appear in court.
He will not appear in court. He was no longer.
The next. Aunt Sun from the Dongcheng District People's Court wore a new suit. It's Sun's. Yesterday I went to the mall to buy a dark blue cotton piece. Sit in the plaintiff. Place your hands flat on your knees. The body is straight. My hands clapped on my knees. The lips. There were 3 people sitting in the dock. Masan is in the middle. Next to him were Yongsen's legal representative and a lawyer in a dark gray suit.
The court is now in session.
The plaintiff's statement returns to the requesting attorney's feet.
First, request to confirm that the mortgage contract signed between the defendant and the plaintiff is invalid. Second, the defendant was ordered to return the plaintiff's property located at number 17 Shijing Garden, Hutong. Third, the defendant was ordered to compensate for the economic losses and mental damage caused by the illegal occupation.
Masan's lawyer stood up to mortgage the contract. That is the true intentions of both parties. The contract is legal and valid.
Lawyer Fang turned to look at the corner of his mouth.
Presiding, please allow me to present evidence.
The original mortgage contract was for a loan of 3 million, 60% annual interest. He paused for a moment. The annual interest rate on bank loans during the same period was 16%. Someone in the gallery whispered that the interest charged by the defendant exceeded the legal limit by nearly 3 times.
The second copy is proof of the plaintiff's education level. The plaintiff has not graduated from elementary school, basically incapable of reading contract. When signing, the person Sun Jianjun was present and used the excuse of helping his mother sign, inducing the plaintiff without his knowledge. Press the finger. Judicial appraisal opinion. The contract does not meet the legal requirements for true expression of intention. The plaintiff is a person with full capacity for civil conduct. You should be responsible for the documents you sign.
Objection. The plaintiff continued with the third.
The defendant has issued high interest rates to 7 borrowers in the past 3 years. The annual loan interest rates are above 50%. Among them, the mortgage properties of 4 borrowers are located within the demolition scope of Beijing District.
The fourth copy. A record of violent collections committed by the defendant against the plaintiff, smashing doors and windows, spray painting threatening texts, and illegally changing locks. Forced occupation of residences is reported to the police. Sun Guoying's neighbor, witnesses, and photos of the scene were used as evidence.
The discussion in the auditorium was loudest for the 5th time.
The defendant exerted medical pressure on the plaintiff's minor grandson through third-party channels. Evidence of coercing the plaintiff into signing the demolition agreement. This evidence includes call records between internal personnel of a hospital in Beijing and a company controlled by the defendant. The transfer record was used as a threat by other parties involved due to a shortage of beds. Testimony that the plaintiff signed the agreement as soon as possible.
The whole place fell silent. The presiding judge flipped through the documents and looked up at the dock. What did the defendant say? Masan's lawyer stood up.
The defendant's truthfulness of the evidence, legality, the relevance is disputed.
All our evidence has passed the forensic appraisal report and is attached to the 3rd volume of the file. The judge turned to the 3rd volume.
Fair after reading a few pages.
This court admitted the plaintiff's evidence.
Masan's expression finally changed. Lawyer Fang didn't give his opponent a chance to breathe. The 6th copy contains records of capital transactions between the defendant Yongsen asset and the principal in Dongcheng District. The air seemed to have been sucked out of the courtroom.
The consulting company actually controlled by Zhao Jianhua dispatched 4.2 million in funds to Yongsen. Of that amount, 2.8 million ended up going to a personal account. Gao Zhengju, the actual beneficiary of the account, is the brother-in-law of Liu Hong, vice chairman of Taste Group. Cheng Masen's lawyer suddenly stood up and objected to the presiding judge. He glanced at Fang's lawyer and the plaintiff's evidence had nothing to do with this case.
This case is a mortgage contract dispute. No demolition is involved.
The objection is valid. Please focus on the core points of dispute in this case.
Lawyer Feng stated that he was unhurried.
Presiding judge. The reason why the defendant dared to occupy the plaintiff's property for a long time by illegal means, it is precisely because the profit transmission chain behind it provides protection for it. Please allow us to make a limited statement on this fact.
To prove the defendant's subjective malice, the presiding judge pondered for a moment.
Defendants Maguoliang and Yongson assets are allowed. The past use high-interest loans as a means. Signing is use violent collection as a tool. Target demolition compensation. A complete old black industry chain has been formed. Because those old people don't understand the law. Dang. No ability. The plaintiff, Ms. Sun Guying, is just a link in this industry chain. His house was occupied and people were kicked out. His son was lured into gambling. In the end, he abandoned his mother and his son, and he lived in the basement. Make a living by picking up scraps during the Chinese New Year, not even a bowl of hot dumpling. He is sitting here today. No. It's to get a fair auditorium.
Someone started wiping. Anne Sun lowered her head. His shoulders were shaking slightly. The presiding judge looked at the dock. If the defendant had anything else to say, Masan's lawyer opened his mouth and glanced at Masan. Masan sat there looking ashen and silent.
The defendant submitted no new evidence.
The court will select a date to pronounce the verdict.
The sound of the knocking sound is heard in the exit courtroom.
Sun Shimin helped Anne Sun stand up. Her legs were a little weak. Only with the support of her daughter did she stand firm and turn her head. He glanced. Sen happened to be looking at him too. Ma San's eyes were as cold as Anne Sun's eyes were. It's not that I don't hate it. I hate it too. Instead, she said, following Sun Shaman's orders, he hurriedly walked out of the court. The court notified the court to pronounce the verdict. Anne Sun put on the new dark blue coat again. It's a bit straighter than what I heard last time. I was sitting in the first row of the gallery, without the police sergeant. In fact, my palms were all sweaty. The presiding judge walked in and everyone stood up.
The verdict is now pronounced. The mortgage contract signed between the defendant and the plaintiff had an annual interest rate of 60%. The interest clause is invalid if it far exceeds the legal limit. 2. The plaintiff had a significant lack of understanding of the contract content when signing the contract. The defendant took advantage of the plaintiff's vulnerability to induce him to sign a contract that violated the principle of honest supply. 3. The defendant took measures such as smashing doors and windows during the performance of the contract. Illegal law. Forcibly occupying a residence and other illegal means constitute illegal possession. 4. The defendant exerted medical pressure on the plaintiff's minor relatives through third-party channels. Coerced the plaintiff to give up his legitimate rights and interests. The plot. This court has decided as follows. 1. Confirm that the mortgage contract is invalid. 2. The defendant shall return the property at Nunu 17 Hutong Shijing Garden within 15 days from the date of the judgment taking effect. 2. The defendant compensated the plaintiff for economic losses of 120,000 yuan. Mental damage to Fuliangban was 30,000 yuan. 4. The defendant was suspected of violent pursuit of goods, illegal detention, extortion, and other illegal criminal activities. Relevant evidence has been transferred to the public security organs. You retreat, you guys.
The hammer struck. Anne Sun sat at the plaintiff's table.
We won.
Father. The house. No one can take it.
Xiaoli.
Do you hear tears? Then, the hot judgment hit the back of my hand. That night I called Lawyer Feng.
Thank you for your hard work, Lawyer Feng.
Mr. Lee, this case is the most fulfilling I have experienced in my 20 years of practice.
The day after the verdict was sent to the public security organ, the Economic Investigation Brigade opened. The morning of the third day, Xiao.
Mr. Lee, Maguoliang. Last night, when the police arrested him in his villa in Tianjin, 7 other people were also arrested, including that leather. As for Zhao Jianhua, the person from Lu Hong's precision clinic, who was taken away from his home by the Discipline Inspection Commission, this morning also went to the company. Financial information from the past 5 years' treatment.
The vice chairman of the real estate group, the one named Lu, is from your company.
It's whether he will cause trouble for you. He can't cause trouble for anyone.
On the day Lu Hong was taken away, 2 uniformed men were waiting for him in the lobby. He comes out of the elevator, seeing them paused. There is no struggle and cry for injustice. How about he know that sooner or later, he will come to the company? Zhou Taisheng has already let the audit come in, company-wide self-examination. In addition, the board of directors proposes that you take over Lu Hong's seat in charge of all business volunteers in North China.
Do you know if you should borrow it? No, because I wanted that seat. It's because of what happened in that position.
It cannot be handed over to the wrong person after the judgment is made. Lawyer Fang compiled a piece of myth.
These no longer constitute the crime of fraud and abandonment. Do you want to transfer them to the police as well? I called some.
He was silent for a long.
You wait a moment.
10 minutes. She called.
My mother said give it away. He has to take responsibility for what he did.
Sun Xiaomin accompanied Aunt Sun to the police station to report the crime. Aunt Sun was wearing that dark navy coat. Sitting on the chair in the reporting room, his hands were clenched until they turned white.
Auntie, what case do you want to report?
He opened his mouth but said nothing. Sun Xiaomin knelt down and held his hand. Speaking slowly, Aunt Sun took a deep breath.
I hold my son, Sunjin. He tricked me into signing the contract. I'm mortgage. I ran for 2 years without taking care of it.
Do I agree with what you said? This is a finger.
Aunt Sun stretched out her right index finger. Press on the red end. The red fingerprint on the record was the same finger he pressed on the mortgage contract 2 years ago. Only this time he sent his son in. It was almost dark when we walked out of the police station. Aunt Sun stood on the steps looking at the traffic on the street for a long time.
Mom, go home.
Sun Jianzhen was captured and brought to justice. I had a meeting at the company that day. Xiadu. Sun Jianzhen was arrested and being escorted back to Beijing back home. I called Summit.
And you?
He knew and didn't say anything about the phone call.
There was a pause on the other end.
It was my mother's decision. If you don't want to report the crime, we don't have to report it. He said Xiaomin, if he doesn't, go in. I don't know how much trouble it will cause next time. This is the only son who cannot look at him in this life.
After the judgment takes effect, Lawyer Fang accompanied Sun Xiaomin to the real estate transaction center to handle the transfer. The staff finished turning over the materials.
He's your mother.
He is not in good health.
The computer was cool. After playing for a while, I printed out a new real estate title certificate.
You look at the information. Right.
Sun Xiaomin opened the door to Sun Gaiying, the rights holder, located at No 17, Shijing Garden Hutong, Dongqing District. His hands were shaking. Lawyer Fang.
Real. Who dares to deny the court's decision?
I rushed back. I went directly to Aunt Sun's house and the door was not closed tightly. I pushed the door open and he was sitting on the sofa with the red certificate unopened on the coffee table. Just look at the cover.
You look back. The house is back.
My aunt has lived in that courtyard for more than 50 years. When your Uncle Zhang was here, we planted a grape tree in the yard. Every summer, the grapes are ripe. He built a ladder to pick up his aunt below. Then after he left, the vines also wither.
Do you think you can't go back in this life?
If you can go back, when do you want to go back? Anytime.
You want to move back.
He folded his. Put it on your lap. Shuli looked out the window.
You never thought in your life that you could wait until this day.
I looked at his gray hair, and my throat felt like it was blocked. He reached out and patted the back of my hand.
Xiaoli.
I turned my hand over. It was these hands that brought a hot bowl of tomato and egg noodles to me 21 years ago.
I am the one who should write this.
He shook his head. No more words were. The moonlight outside the window came in, fall on the red certificate, fell on his gray. The house Yin is still in debt for 21 years. Starting today, I got the same replacement house and got it back, but the demolition issue of Market Garden has not yet been resolved. The Dongxi renovation project stopped. The 1.8 billion project must be pushed forward. The key is how. It took me 3. I visited every alley around Shijing Garden. Most of the residents in the alley have moved out. In some yards, half of the bricks were dismantled and piled on the roadside. Weed growing from the cracks in the brick. Occasionally, you can see 1 or 2 elderly people who have not moved out sitting at the door and enjoying the sun. Saw someone. He raised his head and looked down again. I took pictures of these and returned to the company. Let Wang Ming redo a version of the plan.
The original plan was overturned. No commercial complexes will be built, no high-density development. From commercial development, if you change it to cultural protection plus housing and improvement, Mr. List's return rate will be much lower, from 35%.
I know this about Wang Ming. Did you live in an alley when you were a child?
I lived at my grandma's house near Chongwonmen.
Then you know that it is inconvenient for those old people to move up and down the stairs. The neighbors don't know each other. No.
12% is not unacceptable commercially. Just earn more and... But the project, it can serve as a model for old city protection. Social value goes far beyond that. Can it be passed by the board of directors with 12%? Take it out first and then talk.
When the plan is submitted, the conference room was quiet for a long time. Some question the rate of work. Some people say that it is not in line with the group's strategy. I responded. Finally, Chairman Zhou Taixing spoke to Zhuan.
You stick to this plan. It's because of that old lady.
Because that old lady is also because she is not alone. Northeast and old lady, there are many more. We can't just calculate economic accounts. You still have to settle the scores with people.
The conference room is quiet again. Let's vote. The plan, not a unit, but 12% passed.
You can withstand the board of directors. Those people will talk about this in the future.
Then let them say that after the plan is passed. I visited the residents who had moved out. The first household is Unk. It turned out that I lived in courtyard No. 9, 3 doors away from Aunt Sun's house. Moved to Daxing 2 years ago. When I arrived, he was walking down.
Did he recognize my living house?
The home has 2 bedrooms and 1 living room with an area of more than 70 square meters. There is an old sofa balcony in the living room. Outside is a construction site.
Not used. My legs are. Go out in the alley. Just 2 steps away from the neighbors, it's the vegetable market. I don't know anyone here. I have been afraid to cross the street for 2 years. Who's next door?
The second household is It turned out that I lived in courtyard No.
How is Anli living?
No, it's boring. It used to be in an alley. If someone from a few houses across from each other calls out something, that's enough. No.
I turned on the TV and there was a noise. It doesn't seem so.
The third house, the fourth. Every household in the 5th household said the same thing.
Not used. The building is not used to it. I'm not used to the elevator. No one knows anyone's life.
Back to the office. I compiled the visit records into a report and attached the new plan, submitted to the district government. A few days later, I had a chat with the district manager.
Mr. Lai, your idea is consistent with the direction promoted by the city in protecting the old city. I know. But the return rate is so low, the company can accept it. It can be like this. Please refine this plan a little more. The district government can serve as a demonstration project for old city protection.
It's time to push people out of the district government door. The son is very good. I sent a message to son. The alley was safe. He replied with, good. She sent enough. My mother cried when she heard about it. She said she was... I stood on the steps and watched the old city wall across the road passing through the city. Still that... Some things showed. The renovation of Courtyard No. 17 was the first construction team to start in the entire Hutong. That day, Aunt Sun insisted on looking at the junk in the yard, cleaned up dead grape trellises. It was demolished and new bricks were piled on the ground. New workers are building walls and paving the desolate ground. Aunt Sun stood in the middle of the yard and looked at the millet for a while.
Do you remember there was a grape trellis here when you were a kid? I remember your dad building a ladder up to pick grapes every summer. Then it could be caught and fell to the ground. If it breaks...
Mom, how old?
6. You still want to eat after crying. I said it was rotten and could not be eaten. You don't. Later, your dad picked a new bunch from the tree for you. You don't cry anymore.
Aunt Sun walked to the foot of the east wall and squatted down, touched the bricks at the base of the wall.
This brick was laid by your father. We had a few bricks left over from renovating the kitchen. He said don't waste it. Tired of the flower pot. Later there were no flowers. It has been empty for 40 years.
The foreman of the construction team came over.
Sister, how can we repair this yard? The blue bricks and gray tiles are the same as before. What about replacing all the pipes, wires, and heating inside with new grape trellises?
Do you want to build again? Aunt Sun was stunned for a moment.
Take one.
It was still in the same position when walking out of the yard.
Aunt Sun stopped at the door. He looked back at Xiao Min.
You said how happy your dad would be if he still saw this yard repaired.
Sun Xiumin did answer. He took his mother's arm and walked out of the alley. 3 months. Courtyard No. 17 has been repaired. The wooden door is built with blue bricks and tiles and blue stone slabs. A new grape trellis was built under the east wall of the ground. All interiors, kitchen gas sink, bathroom, water heater. The bedroom floors were refinished. The living room was moved with heating installed. That day, the old neighbors in the alley came to help Uncle Zhang move tables and chairs. Pay attention to help clean the windows. I opened Lao Litu next door, carrying a basket. To express her joy at moving into a new house, Aunt Sun was wearing a newly made navy blue Chinese top, standing in the middle of the yard smiling like a child.
The house is better than before.
Your kitchen used to be very dark. It's so much brighter now.
This shelf is well put together. It will be able to climb vines next year.
The neighbors all left at night. Aunt Sun was sitting alone on a wicker chair under the grape trellis. The moonlight shone brightly on the blue stone board. And Sun Xiaomin served it, the bowl of water.
Mom takes a sip of water.
Xiaomin, sit still for a while.
Sun Xiaomin returned to the house, and Sun, a man, is sitting in the yard. I have looked up at the moon for more than 50 years. She got married, gave birth to a child, and sent them away in this courtyard. The husband raised 2 children. Her middle. She spent her old age in this courtyard. The yard is now repaired, like new, but some things haven't. Those old bricks are still in their original position. Wooden door. Oh, the stove I made by myself back then, still in the same. She touched the armrest of the wicker chair.
Did you?
The moonlight. No one answered, and he smiled. Stand up, walk slowly back to the house. After payment, Sun Xiaomin made. He quit his job as a teacher in another place, transferred back to a primary school in Haiti and through recruitment procedures. Done. That day he took his son Xiaobao back to the market garden. Little Bao, a chubby 6-year-old boy, squatted on the ground to pick up pebbles as soon as he entered the yard.
Grandma, there are ants in this yard!
It's good to have ants. The presence of ants indicates that the Earth's energy is good.
What does Grandma do with her ears?
A grape. Next, the grapes are full. You can eat the grapes grown by Grandma.
Really?
Grandma can still lie to you.
Bao happily ran circles in the yard. Sun Xiaomin stood at the door of the kitchen. Hug your mother's shoulders from behind.
Sorry. I shouldn't have been angry with you before. It shouldn't have been that many years. What can I say if I don't come back? Just come back. Mom, I won't leave anymore.
Now you don't blame Mom anymore. What's your fault? Weird mother favors Jianzhan.
Always protecting him.
It pisses you off.
Ma Jianzhen, you're my mother. How can I know you?
Slim baby doesn't cry. Grandma is happy. Grandma.
Liar hype.
Because Mom is bad.
Grandma, give this to you.
Grandma did.
Then, Aunt Sun cooked a table dish, braised pork, sweet and soft, minced, water. There was also a plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes.
You're in the kitchen.
Xia, just sitting down to eat.
Sat on the stone bench and looked at the plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes.
You remember, I love this.
I remember you were alone in Beijing at that time. If you don't have a father or a mother, you just love to eat scrambled eggs with tomatoes.
Finish your meal while it's hot. Xiaomin took Xiaobao back first. Aunt Sun and I were sitting under the grape trellis drinking tea.
Do you still remember the first day I came to your house?
I remember you were wearing a gray and worn-out cotton, padded jacket. My lips turned purple from the cold, standing at the door and not coming in.
It's not that I won't come in. I don't. I'm afraid you'll follow me.
Why are you leaving so quick? Look, it's not too late for you to feel so distressed. You were thin and small at that time. My aunt, who is half a head shorter than Jianzhen, served you a bowl of noodles. Your hands are shaking while holding the bowl. It was done in 3 bites. All the soup was drunk.
Also, do you still remember that time you asked me to make dumplings?
Are those dumplings you made? That's no. I laughed so hard that I couldn't even straighten my waist.
You also said that you won't eat the pigs I wrapped.
That's what it is.
Both. After laughing, he was silent for a while.
Do you still remember one time? I have a hive. You stayed with me all night.
I remember you had a fever at that time. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't want to die.
You thought at the time, I won't let anything happen to you. You are alone in our capital city without a father. Nothing happened to my mother.
Tianjun. Who cares? If you thought about building an army that night.
I wasn't worried at that time. Hang out every day. But he is Jingshi's child.
He has a family which is different from you.
You have nothing.
You gave me a life.
Don't talk nonsense. I still ordered a few bowls of noodles for you.
So my life is not just a few bowls of noodles.
He's talking. The moonlight fell on his gray hair.
I can't even repay what I owe you in this life. I owe you nothing. I owe you a good life.
Still.
As the renovation project comes to a close, the editor and director of CCTV Focus interview contacted me.
I want to make a special stone garden for the protection of the old city. This project is very representative.
I agreed on one condition. Want to interview Sun Guying.
When I went to find it, he is watering the flowers in the yard.
CCTV wants...
You interview me. What's the point of interviewing an old lady like me?
Just tell me how many years you have lived here. The yard, as long as Gao's unhappy.
She thought for a moment and put the kettle down.
That's okay.
On the day of the interview, the director was a girl in her early 30s.
And Sun, how many years have you lived in this compound?
More than 50 years.
I heard that you took in a college student before.
Taken in. The child was left alone without a father or a mother and was very hungry. I just gave him a bowl of noodles.
Have you ever thought that he would come back to help you in the future?
Who can think of what will happen next? There must be a sense of humanity between people.
Is there anything you want to say to that child?
And Sun looked at me and looked at the camera towards him for a few seconds. She didn't hide from Xiao Lai.
You read that right.
Your show airs. I watched Xiao Min and Xiao Bao at An Sun's house. An Sun on TV was wearing a navy blue Chinese gown, sitting under the grape trellis. Speaks slowly.
Grandma is on!
An Sun touched her head and said nothing. After dialing, the phone started ringing. Old Chen Wanming, former colleagues and classmates came one after another. An Sun, come over with a cup of tea.
Xiao Li, take a break and say goodbye.
I always look at Oppo mobile phones. What you said on
I will remember it for the rest of my life as the second day. Repaying gratitude after 21 years broke out all over the internet and became a hot search topic. First, it has been read more than 300 million times. All major media are forwarding it. But the most numerous messages are from ordinary people, said the old. It's so good to say that there must be a human touch between people. What I lack most now is this. I've been renting a house in Beijing for 8 years. There are 2 landlords who are particularly good. Asked me to eat dumplings together during the Chinese New Year. Sick, said me. I didn't leave any contact information when I moved out. I can't. My grandfather used to live in Hutong. I talked about it every day after the demolition. An old neighbor watched this show. There is another one written by Beidia. Tomorrow I'm going back to the place I rented before to have a look. I don't know if the landlady is still here. This post has been liked hundreds of thousands of times. A few days. Awesome.
My mother is... I went to the vegetable market to buy vegetables today. Several people recognize. She has an eldest sister who insists on giving her a free bill, saying that you are a good person, aunt. No charge. My mother refused to give money to others and ran away. My mother has never been taken so seriously in her life.
Sun Jinjin was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The thumb Sun Shaman received. He gave me a
Mom. Work and study every day. Have sleep. Life is very rare.
I think about the past every day. I remember when Dad was still here. I miss the food my mother cooked for me. I remember my mother taking me boating in Baihai Park when I was little. How wonderful it was then. How did I get to where I am today?
Mom, I owe you more than I can ever repay in my lifetime. I will be a good person when I come out. Xiaomin, sorry. Mom will leave it.
I took the letter paper and looked at it. The writing was not very good, but there was no change stroke by stroke. Another. It seemed like I had been beaten many times. Don't dare to write until you have drafted. I folded the letter and showed it to him.
Not yet. I don't want to make her feel bad.
She felt even worse if she didn't look at it.
Sun Xiaomin. That night she told An Sun her belief. Later, Xiaomin. Mother sat on a wicker chair under the grape trellis, with eyes closed. Hear every word I hear. I owe you more than I can repay in this life. Tears streamed down her cheek. No, finished reciting. Aunt Sun opened her eyes and finished reading tiredly. He was silent for a long.
How long until he leaves? 2 years, 2 years.
Sun Xiaomin didn't dare to speak. Aunt?
Wait until he comes out and find him a car repair shop at the entrance of the alley. Mom, he has to make a living. If he doesn't make a living, he has to go back to the old road.
In fact, you still have to worry about this for the rest of your life. Just the sun.
That Sun had a bad converts to admitted to the hospital. When Sun Xiaomin, Yimin Shanghua. When I arrived at the hospital, Aunt Sun was leaning on the hospital bed, pricking Lu Zizhen on the back of her hand. Sun Xiaomin sat beside the bed and fed Xiao Li a spoonful of porridge.
Aren't you good? What are you doing here?
I heard you were hospitalized.
Still waiting for a slight cold. He was discharged after staying for 2 days. Don't delay the business.
You are the biggest market.
A few days. Aunt Sun was on her way back to Shijin Garden after being discharged from the hospital.
Xiao Li, you have...
I'll tell you when I get home.
He was sitting on the sofa holding a glass of water.
Xiao Li was silent for a while and waited until 100 years later. I want to leave that yard to you. Just listen to what my aunt has to say first. Sun Xiaomin has a... There is a house. If Sun Jianzhen is like that, he will also waste this yard and leave it to you. Don't. How to deal with it, just how you say it should be dealt with. Auntie doesn't care. Auntie has only one request. Lin said that the plaque at the entrance of the courtyard should always be hung. That it is the Poetry Well Garden. After the renovation is complete, the one given by the sub-district office hangs at the door of No. 17 courtyard with 4 words. Auntie Li from the neighborhood house. I have no regrets in this life. My wife left. But when he was there, the relationship was good, but his son was not up to par. But my daughter is back. My grandson comes often, and my son is promising. I still remember my aunt.
You made my aunt's life not in vain.
Spring comes 1 year later.
When will grapes ripen?
It will be ready by the time you have summer vacation.
Aunt Wen sat on a wicker chair under the grape trellis. I slowly shook the cattail leaf fan in my hand, and the sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves. Fema modeled. The courtyard door was pushed open. I walked. My daughter Dojuo followed behind, holding a windmill in her hand.
Here I come!
Coming. Good.
Grandma misses you.
Mom's meal is almost ready.
Yeah, the grapes are producing a lot this year.
There will be more next year, and a few more heart vines have been sent over there. In 2 years, the entire wall will be covered.
By then the yard will be filled with grapes.
Come and pick more when the time comes. Too much to eat.
I want to eat grapes that are not yet ripe.
I'm not afraid of acidity.
Just like your dad did back then. The rice is ready.
Sun Shimi brought out plates one by one. Braised pork, sweet, minced, waters. The last dish was scrambled eggs with tomatoes, chopped tomatoes and fried eggs until golden brown. Sprinkle a handful of green onions on top. And Sun came over carrying the plate of dishes. She glanced at me, right? Nothing has... It seems like nothing has changed. He was still busy behind the stove. I was still the kid sitting in the yard waiting for him to come out. The plaque at the gate of the yard was in the dusk. The words neighborhood home were hung quietly. Every stroke is correct. The most precious thing in this world is not money. It's a bowl of hot soup that a stranger hands you when you're at your hardest time. You can still find that person when you look back. Say.
Are there any scrambled eggs with tomatoes today?